In a dimly lit, cube-shaped room, a lone man pedals in silence. Above him, a massive screen glows like a digital sky, flashing with neon colors. The world on that screen is brighter than reality itself, and all he can do is trade his sweat for a sliver of existence in the virtual. One wall, lined with hundreds of screens, displays people laughing, dancing, screaming with joy. Here, happiness feels like a product you can only afford if you've got enough credits. Then cut. A girl stands center stage on a talent show set. Harsh lights bear down on her like a trial. The host smiles, but it's ice cold. She sings, trembling. Silence falls. And then, an avalanche of applause and virtual points crashes over her. This isn't just science fiction. It's a dissection of the system we live in. Black Mirror, Season 1, Episode 2, 15 Million Merits, has been hailed by fans as the most eerily accurate sci-fi fable ever made. With its hypnotic visual style, prophetic world-building, and a brutally cold storyline, this episode doesn't ask what if. It says, this is already happening. And it forces us to confront an unsettling question. When life, labor, and even dreams are priced by algorithms and monetized by credits, what's actually left of our free will? To understand why 15 Million Merits hits so hard, we need to rewind to the conditions that gave birth to it. This episode was written by Black Mirror creator Charlie Brooker and directed by Euros Lyn, known for his work on Doctor Who, Broadchurch, and Torchwood. Lyn specializes in crafting emotional intensity within confined spaces, and that's exactly what this story demanded. Brooker's inspiration stemmed directly from rising anxiety around gamification in real life: social media, fitness trackers, donation buttons, digital wallets. Whether you're exercising, eating, dating, or shopping, every move is tracked, measured, and rewarded. Every like, every ad view, every swipe is part of a game you didn't sign up to play. In interviews, Brooker shared that his original concept for this episode was even darker. A future where human contact has vanished entirely, where every action is logged for value, and where both empathy and interaction are commodities. His cynicism was fueled by years of watching shows like X Factor and Big Brother, which, for him, blurred the lines between entertainment and exploitation. One of the most revealing behind-the-scenes facts. The episode was partially inspired by Brooker's time at the gym. He joked, "I was on a stationary bike, and it hit me. What if this thing powered something? What if we're all just hamsters running for survival credits?" Despite a tight production budget, the team created a visually hypnotic world with minimalist design: holographic interfaces, sterile uniforms, translucent walls. The simplicity wasn't just aesthetic, it emphasized the cold, mechanized sameness of the environment, mirroring the emotional numbness of the people inside it. For the lead role of Bing, they cast Daniel Kaluuya, years before Get Out made him a global star. Brooker said he chose Kaluuya because of the rage simmering beneath his silence. And that choice paid off. Kaluuya's performance gave the episode its emotional gravity, especially in that unforgettable glass shard monologue. Another interesting production detail: Brooker originally envisioned a more brutal interactive system, where viewers could delete or punish performers. But he stripped it down to a single rule: you pay points to speak. That choice sharpened the episode's central critique: even your voice has a price. In the end, 15 Million Merits became the most visually striking and emotionally gut-punching episode of the season. It marked the moment when Black Mirror found its true identity: stripped-down sets, allegorical storytelling, and characters who are seconds away from emotional collapse. And perhaps most chillingly, it's not science fiction. It's a mirror. 15 Million Merits is more than a dystopian parable. It's a masterclass in visual storytelling. From color palettes and camera movement to costume design and framing, every element serves a deeper purpose: to expose the relationship between aesthetics, control, and survival in a world ruled by algorithms and attention economies. A digital cage in cool tones, how color and space reflect control. The show's physical space is symbolic. Characters live inside glowing cube-shaped rooms, every wall a screen, every moment flooded by ads, gamified content, and relentless noise. There's no day or night, just endless scrolling. The environment isn't just futuristic, it's metaphorical. We're trapped in a world of screens, and somewhere along the way, we've lost our connection to nature, to reality, and even to ourselves. The color scheme? Sterile. Cool tones of gray, white, blue, and purple dominate. The lighting is even, harsh, and emotionally cold. It creates a visual fatigue that mirrors the character's mechanical existence day after day. Monotony in this world is engineered. Now contrast that with Abi's first performance on Hot Shot. For the first time, we see warmth, golden orange lights, soft highlights, emotional music. It feels like a flicker of real humanity. But that warmth is a trap. It's not real. It's a visual illusion designed for the viewer. Just like reality TV, it's emotion neatly packaged for consumption. Framing as a prison, when living feels like performing. Director Euros Lin makes clever use of symmetry and static shots. Most scenes are framed with characters dead center, moving mechanically in rigid spaces. Bing's room, for example, never shifts perspective even when he gets up. It just stares back, cold and unblinking, as he jogs, eats, watches. The camera becomes a silent observer. Or worse, a participant in the surveillance. But when Bing uses his merits to enter Abi into the contest, the camera shifts. Suddenly, we see handheld motion and a slow push-in, a break from the visual routine. This subtle change signals the stirring of personal emotion, the birth of agency. And then there's the climactic moment, Bing on stage, holding a shard of glass. The camera looks up at him from a low angle, framed against a void of black. He yells. He shakes. But it's not rebellion. It's performance. His fury is absorbed by the system, monetized, made into content. His reward? A bigger screen. A nicer room. A nightly platform where his rage becomes a scheduled show. Resistance sold back to the people. Character arcs, Bing's rage and how it's tamed. Bing is one of the few characters with a clear arc. He starts as a quiet, obedient man, peddling for points. Then comes hope, his feelings for Abi. Then belief, his decision to spend everything to support her dream. Then heartbreak, watching her turn into an object in the system's adult entertainment arm. And finally outrage. He cuts himself. He cashes in his credits. He gets on stage to scream the truth. But what does he do when he gets there? He doesn't die. He doesn't escape. He performs. And in that moment, we realize the system doesn't fear rebellion. It absorbs it. His real outburst becomes just another product. Even the glass shard he once threatened to use? It's repackaged. It's now part of his show, a prop, a fruit knife, a stylized accessory. It's a brutal metaphor for the real world. Outrage sells. And platforms know how to monetize it. Abi's collapse, when beauty becomes commodity. Abi begins as the embodiment of innocence. She sings beautifully. She shines. For a moment, she feels like hope. Bing sees it in her, and so do we. But the system sees something else, profit. She is offered a place in adult content, and she doesn't resist. Her silence speaks volumes. Bing watches in horror. The dream he believed in collapses in real time. It's the show's cruelest twist. Beauty cannot fight the machine. It only feeds it. In the end, Abi is no longer a person. She's a content category, packaged, priced, and streamed. Her talent? Monetized. Her image? Sold. Her choices? Erased. Cultural symbols, points, avatars, ads, and the tyranny of entertainment. 15 million merits is built around an ecosystem of visual metaphors. The merit system equals the modern attention economy. You pay to speak. You watch ads to earn points. Every action has a price tag. Avatars equals the filtered versions of ourselves. Online, we are what we decorate. Real pain is ignored. Our digital selves look fine. Hot Shot equals every modern blend of reality show, live stream, and adult entertainment. A machine that crushes dreams and sells them back as content. The shard/the knife equals symbolic rage. Bought, packaged, controlled. Even anger must go through content moderation. In this intricate visual and symbolic system, the real message becomes clear. This isn't just Bing's story. It's ours. We're already inside the box. Watching, swiping, paying, competing for a spotlight we may never stand under. If the visuals and production design of 15 million merits serve as the episode's mask, then its narrative structure is the true Black Mirror, a reflection held up to the audience, one that reveals more the deeper you stare into it. Structure as control, linear time as emotional manipulation. The episode unfolds in a stark, stripped-down linear format, and this simplicity is key to its oppressive tone. Right from the start, viewers are dropped into a fully formed world. No exposition, no background on how society came to function on exercise bikes and merit points. It's just there, as if this nightmare had always been reality. This absence of explanation is a feature, not a flaw. It mirrors how systems in our own world often feel inescapable. We're forced to accept the setting and, like Bing, slowly awaken from numb compliance to raw frustration. The show cleverly syncs the protagonist's emotional arc with the viewers. When Bing watches Abby fall, our hearts sink in real time. But then comes the gut punch, the anticlimax. Bing earns the stage. He confronts the system. He screams. He cuts himself. And then he gets a show. The emotional high collapses into institutional co-option. What felt like rebellion was just another product. What felt like catharsis becomes spectacle. This narrative trapdoor creates a lingering sense of powerlessness, the perfect final beat in a system designed to commodify even your rage. This type of emotional bait and switch has become a signature in Charlie Brooker's storytelling. The twist doesn't just subvert the plot, it subverts the audience's expectations of narrative justice. Brooker's evolution, from ironic satire to systemic sadness. As the creator of Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker's fingerprints are all over this episode. But here, his style deepens and matures. A fully built world with no explanation. Brooker never bothers with exposition dumps. He doesn't tell you why the world runs on bikes and points. He doesn't explain why people live in boxes. He doesn't need to. This isn't about world building, it's about emotional suffocation. The message: you already live here. Defamiliarizing technology to reveal human truths. Like the best sci-fi, the episode isn't about tech. The point system isn't the focus. What matters is the human behavior it enables, buying your right to speak, watching ads to matter, monetizing outrage. Tech is just the container. Brooker's real target is the commodification of humanity. Parable, not plot. Just as the national anthem turned political performance into mass voyeurism, 15 Million Merits takes gamified capitalism and turns it into a fable about beauty, choice, and class ceilings. Brooker builds alternate realities just extreme enough to feel unfamiliar, and just familiar enough to make you shiver. But unlike the national anthem, which ends with acidic satire, this episode drips with somber empathy. Bing isn't a corrupt official or symbolic figurehead, he's us. A guy who clicks, likes, donates, posts, scrolls. His failure feels inevitable, not dramatic. The critical divide, praise, outrage, and everything in between. Upon release, 15 Million Merits sparked deep splits in critical circles. Supporters hailed it as the most devastating indictment of platform capitalism ever televised. They praised its prophetic vision of influencer culture, live stream economies, and the emotional labor of visibility. In a world where attention is currency, this episode hit too close to home, especially post-Instagram, post-TikTok. Critics found it too on the nose. They argued that characters, especially Abby, lacked interiority, that she was reduced to a symbol, a passive figure to trigger Bing's moral awakening. Some called it dystopia by numbers, reliant on techno-fear to mask shallow sociological analysis. Neutral voices raised a fascinating question. Would it have been more powerful if Bing had actually killed himself? But Brooker doesn't take that out. Because death would have been a clean moral punctuation mark, tragedy, yes, but with clarity. By keeping Bing alive and giving him a platform, the show delivers something much crueler, a world that doesn't destroy rebels, it merchandises them. And that perhaps is Black Mirror's core brilliance. It doesn't hand you answers. It constructs a hollow space and dares you to fill it with your own fear, guilt, and complicity. In 15 Million Merits, we're not just watching a vision of the future, we're staring straight into the chilling contours of the present. This isn't a sci-fi fantasy built on imaginative world building. It's a social experiment in real time. And in this experiment, we're not just actors, we're also the audience, the currency, and the prisoners of the system. The merit economy isn't science fiction. It's a mirror. At first glance, the merit point system in the episode seems like a dystopian invention. But look closer, and it's a razor-sharp condensation of the systems we're already living in. It reflects three dominant forces shaping modern life. 1. The monetization of everyday life. In the episode, every action is quantifiable. Brushing your teeth, riding an exercise bike, watching or skipping ads, all of it feeds into the currency of merits. That logic isn't hypothetical. We already see it in things like Sesame credit in China, credit scores in the US, or the coins and gifts exchanged on live stream platforms. The idea of behavior as economic input? It's already here. 2. A new class system based on aesthetic capital. The contrast between the fatties and the skinnies is hardly subtle. Fat bodies are seen as useless, cast out to janitorial labor, while leaner bodies are allowed to compete for attention. The subtext is clear: beauty is survival. In our own world, appearance, style, and charisma on camera often determine who gets the mic and who gets muted. It's influencer culture reimagined as caste. 3. Algorithmic taste as social currency. Want to get noticed? Be liked. Be shareable. The only way to move up is to please the masses. Not through message, but through marketability. Your content is only as valuable as your ability to be consumed. It's the same principle that governs platforms like TikTok and Instagram. You're not expressing yourself, you're chasing engagement. Emotional capital, when awakening becomes a commodity. Bing gives up everything, twice. First for love, then for rage. His first use of merits is touching. He pays for Abby to enter the talent show. It's a romantic gesture rooted in sincerity and admiration for her voice. A pure moment. But when Abby is coerced into joining the adult entertainment industry, and worse, accepts it, Bing snaps. His illusion of dignity collapses. His rage is real, but it becomes something else. He walks on stage, holding a shard of glass to his own neck. His body becomes the protest. But the system doesn't fight him. It recruits him. He gets his own show. A better room. A daily slot to scream. What looks like revolution becomes monetized trauma. And that's the twist. The system doesn't censor him, it markets him. His outburst becomes content. His rebellion becomes a brand. This is Charlie Brooker's most biting commentary. Even dissent, once it draws enough views, becomes another show for the machine. Abby's silence isn't collapse. It's submission. Abby doesn't fall. She surrenders. She isn't brainwashed. She simply recognizes something Bing doesn't. That resistance is not an option. Her first appearance in the adult channel reveals the full tragedy. Her eyes are hollow. It's not consent, it's survival. She sees the rules of the game clearly. Bing fights for a better world. Abby has already buried the hope of one. Their arc is hauntingly familiar. One person still believes things can change. The other has learned to adapt and endure. It's one of the most painful relational dynamics in modern life. The philosophy behind the screen, when rebellion is marketable. The spiritual blueprint behind this episode echoes Neil Postman's "Amusing ourselves to death." We're no longer oppressed by force, we're seduced by entertainment. We don't fight back, we stream our rage. We don't need heroes, we just consume the image of resistance. Bing believes his scream will wake people up. Instead, it becomes a feature, a segment, a product. Hot Shot has a new act, and it's angry. The genius of the system? It never had to coerce him. It just gave him the illusion of choice. And he chose willingly. Where did this story come from? And has it already come true? The frightening part isn't the show's imagination, it's its accuracy. Brooker's vision foresaw the rise of patron-driven content, OnlyFans, Twitch, TikTok tips. Algorithmic fame based on desirability, not depth. Rage as content, with politics and personal trauma both used to farm clicks. The merit economy? It's real. The gamified life. We live it. The monetized protest. Scroll your feed. When this episode aired over a decade ago, it felt prophetic. Today, it feels like documentary. So the real question is, if we recognize this system, why are we still playing the game? In most stories, there's a thin layer separating fiction from reality, a membrane we can choose to believe in. But 15 million merits doesn't just pierce that membrane, it obliterates it. More than a decade after its broadcast, we can now match nearly every one of its once-futuristic concepts with chilling precision to trends that have already unfolded around us. The merit illusion, how reward systems quietly enslaved us all. The episode's merit system may seem dystopian, but it's actually an early blueprint of today's creator economy. On platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Douyin, and Bilibili, fans tip creators with coins, gifts, and recharge bonuses. Creators, in turn, are forced to churn out engaging content just to survive. The result is a three-tiered structure of exploitation. Platforms set the rules: visibility, algorithm exposure, monetization. It's all controlled at the top. Audiences drive the market. Engagement metrics like gifts, comments become the deciding factor between obscurity and virality. Creators are pressured to perform, following trends, pandering to outrage, or even emotionally self-harming, all to game the system. In the episode, Bing peddles endlessly to earn enough for one shot at visibility. That image now echoes in real life. Live streamers regularly broadcast for 10+ hours to maintain ranking. Short-form creators overhaul content styles to stay on trend. We've entered a new labor structure built on algorithmic taste, social capital, and content as commodity. Rebellion becomes content when anger is monetized. One of the episode's most harrowing moments is Bing's glass-wielding protest, his on-camera breakdown over Abby's exploitation. But what starts as a raw emotional outburst is quickly absorbed by the system. He's rewarded with a channel. His pain becomes a show. His rage is now monetizable. Sound familiar? Confessional content. Social media is flooded with tearful monologues and trauma dumps, where vulnerability is commodified into views. Outrage influencers, personal rants, calling out videos, and online feuds regularly top the algorithm, as fury becomes a reliable engagement strategy. Pop protest packaging, anti-work and anti-hustle content is now a genre, marketed and monetized, rather than dismantling the system it critiques. Bing thought his scream would wake the world. Instead, it fueled a new subscription model. That's the genius of the system. It's not afraid of your anger. It's afraid you might go quiet. Fat people, thin people, the hidden metaphor of algorithmic caste. The show's stark division between the fatties and the thin is not just about body image. It's a grim parable of who's allowed visibility and who's not. Algorithmic bias. TikTok and Instagram heavily favor conventionally attractive faces, clean lighting, and high-performance aesthetics. If you don't look the part, you're buried in the feed. The digital underclass. On creator platforms, the vast majority of users live in a no-visibility zone. No views, no growth, no chance. Like the fatties, they're essential labor, invisible to the stage. The labor of presence. Young creators are working harder than ever, often unpaid, simply to be seen. They're not riding bikes, but they're scrolling, posting, editing, pushing to feed the algorithm. Meanwhile, the rest of us tap, and GIF coins, fueling the very system that makes us voyeurs in someone else's struggle for relevance. The ad walls and the illusion of choice. In one now iconic scene, Bing tries to close his eyes to skip an ad, and is penalized. He's forced to watch or pay. It's eerily prophetic. Unskippable ads. YouTube and other platforms increasingly insert ads mid-video, often non-skippable, even for short clips. Paywall culture. Want to skip ads, unlock HD, or avoid delays? Pay for premium. Content is no longer free. It's tiered by subscription class. The real cost? Attention, time, autonomy. The tragedy isn't just that Bing has to watch an ad. It's that he's denied the right to say no. And that perhaps is the most unnerving reality we now live in. Opt-out is no longer free. Beneath the screens, a map of the real world in fiction. From merit systems and emotional commodification to algorithmic aesthetics and coercive ad structures, 15 Million Merits takes a fictional world and unpacks our very real present with surgical precision. This isn't satire anymore. It's a documentary, just shot 10 years too early. Cultural echoes beyond sci-fi, when 15 Million Merits becomes a mirror of our time. 15 Million Merits doesn't just depict a possible future, it outlines a system that feels eerily familiar. Since its release, the episode has sparked a tidal wave of conversation far beyond the sci-fi genre. It's no longer just an episode of Black Mirror, it's a cultural lens through which we're now re-evaluating the present. Hailed by audiences and scholars alike as one of the most philosophically resonant chapters in the Black Mirror anthology, this episode continues to generate fervent debate on platforms like IMDb, Reddit, Dubon, and Bilibili. Its influence has endured and evolved across a variety of communities. Who's still talking about it? Content creators, podcasters, and YouTubers now cite it as a prophetic critique of platform capitalism, using it to analyze the exploitative dynamics of monetization, attention, and burnout. Working-class audiences, the image of the bike riders has become shorthand for modern-day office drones. Meme pages are filled with variations of "We are all Bing." Students and academics, it's become required viewing in courses on media ethics, surveillance studies, and the political economy of attention. Especially in recent years, with AI-generated content and widespread skepticism about attention economies, 15 Million Merits has found new relevance and urgency. Memes, spin-offs, and reinterpretations. The episode has fueled a rich ecosystem of secondary creations across YouTube, TikTok, Xiaohongshu, Reddit, and Zhihu. Pedal culture memes, often featuring exhausted workers or creators grinding endlessly with no reward in sight. Parody videos, mocking Bing's performance on Hotshot to highlight how performative rage has become a genre of its own. Sci-fi adaptations, web dramas, short films, and comics inspired by the merit-based society concept, exploring dystopian ethics. These reinterpretations aren't just entertainment, they've become tools for cultural critique. In the academic arena, 15 Million Merits has emerged as a key case study across disciplines like media studies, sociology, tech ethics, and platform governance. Scholars have used it to explore a range of urgent questions. Top research themes: algorithmic control and emotional labor, commodification of identity in digital economies, surveillance society and the spectator as complicit, governance challenges of algorithmic aesthetics. Frequent academic keywords: algorithmic control, mediated subjectivity, labor commodification, performative politics, post-human capital. Its relevance has even reached interdisciplinary fields like AI ethics, urban tech design, and digital law, making it a foundational reference in many graduate theses. 4 companion films to deepen the conversation. The Platform, Spain, 2019. Theme: class warfare in a vertical prison society. Why It Fits, a visceral parable on resource hoarding and systemic cruelty, dystopia with teeth. Perfect Sense, UK/France, 2011. Theme: pandemic of lost senses, redefining emotional bonds. Why It Fits, a haunting counterpoint to Merits, how we process love and grief when stripped of sensory access. Videodrome, Canada, 1983. Theme: body horror meets media theory. Why It Fits, a surrealist ancestor to Black Mirror, exploring media manipulation through flesh and fear. Network, USA, 1976. Theme: news as rage-fueled entertainment. Why It Fits, its protagonist's televised meltdown echoes Bing's arc, only 40 years earlier. For books that decode the Black Mirror logic. Amusing Ourselves to Death, Neil Postman. The ideological spine of Black Mirror, showing how TV turned public discourse into performance art. Irresistible, Adam Alter. A behavioral science exposé on how apps and devices hijack our attention, perfect for understanding reward addiction. The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, Shoshana Zuboff. A masterwork on how platforms commodify behavior for profit and what that means for autonomy and democracy. The Society of a Spectacle, Guy Debord. A dense but visionary read that predicted how visual culture would eclipse reality itself, essential for understanding live stream era dissonance. Clapperboard, as Bing says, it's not even about the points anymore. At the climax of 15 Million Merits, when Bing lifts that shard of glass and stares directly into the camera, those words hit like a gut punch. On the surface, it's a cry against the system. But in that moment we realize, he's not just angry at the world. He's disillusioned with the audience, with the machine, and most painfully with himself. For a while, this line was widely misread as a triumphant declaration of rebellion. But when we see what follows, Bing placed in a larger, shinier cage, his rage now a monetized performance, we understand the tragic twist. He didn't escape the system. He became its most valuable ornament. This may not be one of television's most quoted lines, but hidden inside is a full-scale debate about capitalism, platform control, emotional labor, performance, power, aesthetics, and the erosion of human agency. What if the story had gone a different way? Let's run some counterfactuals. What if Bing had chosen to truly destroy the system rather than join it? Would he be erased entirely or become a cautionary tale like Julian Assange? What if Abby never entered the talent show and instead ran away with Bing? Could they have sparked a romantic revolution from the bottom of the meritocracy, or is escape just another illusion? What if Hot Shot wasn't the only path forward? Would the episode shift from a critique of false hope to a broader condemnation of how all exits are aestheticized, packaged, and sold? Each hypothetical doesn't just alter the plot, it changes how the episode would be remembered. Would it still be a dirge for utopia lost, or a scream from within a system that monetizes resistance? Performing arts, what's the true legacy of 15 Million Merits? It's not a show designed to make you angry. It's a show that asks, why are you angry? And even more unsettling, why do you enjoy consuming that anger? This episode is a mirror, not a message. You don't just watch it, it watches you. It doesn't preach. It provokes. It quietly forces you to confront a terrifying idea. You're part of the system it depicts. Brain, let's leave with some questions, just for you. In today's algorithm-driven world, have you ever unknowingly gamified your own existence? If there were a Hot Shot style program that promised success in exchange for your dignity or anger, would you do it? Have you ever found satisfaction in watching someone else's pain, rage, or emotional collapse online? If you could design a better system, one freer than 15 million merits, how would you structure power, voice, and value? Light bulb brick, crying face mobile phone fire brain. Drop a single emoji in the comments to describe how you felt after watching this episode. I know Easter eggs. Just reflections. This episode doesn't need behind-the-scenes trivia, because the behind-the-scenes is our real life. Have you pedaled today? Was what you said truly your voice, or the one the platform wanted you to say? Were you expressing yourself, or were you a product? Were you speaking rage, or selling it? If you're into deep dive analysis that dissects systems, shatters illusions, and gives your brain a weekly workout, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Next week, we're diving into Black Mirror's third episode, a digital tragedy about memory, intimacy, and control. Are you ready to look into the next shard of the mirror?